Hey Tribe, welcome to Power Pantaloons podcast. My name is Tanya Valarjan, and I am a holistic wellness specialist and survivor myself. Today we have Casey with us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Tanya. I appreciate it.
Of course. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. My name is Casey Kang. I am a three-time survivor of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Yep, three times. And I am a trauma-informed cancer coach.
What does that mean?
So there are so many things, so many layers to recovery, in my opinion. A lot of people want to focus just on diet or exercise, but really we need a holistic approach, right? We need to incorporate diet, exercise, lifestyle changes, but also addressing the trauma that we endure. Because I found out very early on when I started doing this that I kept running into the same problem. Like, I know I need to do this, but I'm not motivated. Or I need to do this, but I can't, or I'm stuck, or all these things. And that's the trauma that we go through. The byproduct of that is all of those things. So I became certified in trauma and all these other things because to really help somebody heal and grow from the experience going through cancer, as you know, it takes more than one thing.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I was diagnosed in 2007 with a carcinosarcoma of the uterus. So that's two different kinds of cancer,
Yeah.
and sarcomas are the rarest and most deadly kinds of cancer. A lot of people don't understand that, right? And my oncologist said to me he's got about a 5% chance of survival. And I said, "No, you will not speak that over my life. I am more than happy to do the treatment plan of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, but we are also going to do Reiki, aromatherapy, flower essences, grounding, woo woo stuff, because I really believe that mind, body, spirit is part of it. Um, and one of the things that it took me at least a decade to like get to, but I had to acknowledge what I did or didn't do that landed me in that spot and heal that. And that's something that isn't really discussed about it. Like it's a huge part of it because I do believe that your where your mindset is really does lead to where you're going to end up, whether or not your survivability chances increase if you believe that they are increased.
I completely agree with you. Wow. Like it's like we're on the same page with everything. There's so much more to this than science. Like there's an entity outside of science that you cannot medically explain, right? It's just there's something there, and you have to take a very holistic approach to everything.
I think that magic is science that hasn't been proven yet.
Correct. I
Like
agree.
that and a lot of people are like, you're very woo. And yes, I'm very woo, but you have a holistic with a W, like whole. You can't be whole without all of the parts, and that is mind, body, spirit. And I really believe in the East meets West philosophy, like holistic and allopathic medicine working together. Like I would never tell somebody not to take the chemotherapy, right? Like I would never tell you to not do what your oncologist is recommended unless your body is telling you not to do that. And then what I would tell you is go find a different opinion. Go seek another medical attendant, like get another appointment, go see another one, and find the plan that works for you intuitively, that you know is going to work for you. Listening to our bodies about our not only the fact that we're unwell, right? And as women, we are utterly garbage about taking care of ourselves as a whole, right? And we're more focused on taking care of everything else, and we leave ourselves to last. And one of the beautiful things that came out of my cancer journey is this is the vessel, the cup that needs to be running over, and people are allowed to have the overflow. And that is how I can support them, because I can't support somebody if I'm not whole.
100%. And it kind of just circle back to what you were talking about of like I need to figure out what led me to my cancer diagnosis. It's like the more I dove into trauma and like reading all these books about diseases and related to it, it just reinforced the fact that for me personally, it wasn't a matter of when I was going to get cancer. It was a matter of it wasn't a matter of if I was going to get cancer. It was a matter of when and which one, right? And there was so much. I think I white knuckle life until my diagnosis, basically. And I think that's really a lot of things led to that, right?
Yes. And the more I speak with other survivors, and everybody picks a different word for it, whether they're a survivor or somebody going through a portion of their life, or they're a warrior. Like, that's very individual, that's very personalized. And you should obviously speak to the person and ask them how they want to identify. Because some people don't want to be labeled as a survivor. They would prefer to be a warrior woman, or whatever it is, right? And some people don't even want to acknowledge that they're in the journey, right? They just like, this is the cancer is just a thing that they're dealing with. So and that speaks to the mentality piece. And I don't know where I was going. Okay.
Okay.
They're just
That's
in
all.
that brain fog, the brain buffering, the ooh shiny squirrel. I know I had a point. That's okay. I'm sure I'll circle back soon. Oh, now I know. All right. Um, when I speak to survivors, the more that I speak with survivors, I hear things like, I ended up with throat cancer because I didn't know how to speak up for myself,
Mm,
or things like that. And I personally believe that the sexual abuse that I endured as a child directly impacted my diagnosis, and me as an adult not handling it led to the dis-ease that eventually led to the disease. And that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that anybody deserves cancer or anything
no,
like that, but I think that we do have to acknowledge our our inactions. Are We need to be accountable,
right.
even if we didn't cause it. We are responsible for our own healing.
Right. And I think that's a big part of the picture that I kept seeing is like everyone wants just to focus on things that are external, like diet and exercise, which are great. I'm not saying don't do them. There's so many studies and research to show like it helps, minimize disease. But there's a layer deeper, the emotional and mental aspect of everything that so many don't want to touch upon, but they really do affect your everyday life and what your body's holding on to.
Yes, yes. So tell me more about 3 times, like three
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Like, I one was way more than enough. Like,
Oh, I agree.
how how do you handle follow-up appointments? Are you actively in remission now? Like,
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at 31, and for about 5 years I was fighting cancer. I literally should not be here. It was a matter of timing and the universe coming together to for an immunotherapy that was not for my cancer at the time that saved my life. And so it's now FDA approved and all of those things, but it is I still have follow-up appointments. I'm going on 8 years in remission. Um, and I have about 12 medical appointments a year that I go to because of cancer, specifically because of cancer. Which is to me now, like I'm not afraid of it coming back. It's more of like I just have to do these annoying appointments, which like I still do them. I don't avoid them. I don't not take care of myself, which again is like a trauma response is avoiding the appointments that you know you need to do, but I'm proactive
yes.
about my health. But I mean, it's just like 12 a year. It's like, ah,
No, no, the the after I was diagnosed and went through the year of active treatment, right? And then you were released back into the wild without go have a good time.
Yeah, basically.
That's traumatic in itself. The first year after that, I had a pap smear every 2 months because I was just like, the regular gynecologist, and then there was the radiation oncologist, and then there was the oncologist, and I went to see each of them twice a year. And at one of the appointments, one of them is like, Tanya, can we talk about how aggressive you're being here? And can we start maybe next year? Can we just do one piece and then go back to and that was hard, right? And the going to the appointments, like once you have it on the calendar, the the month before and the week before, and as I age away from the original diagnosis, I don't get the panic attacks and the anxiety that I used to get. I can't imagine being diagnosed again. Am I afraid it's gonna come back? Sometimes. But now that I'm 18 years out of it, I I can't have the same cancer, right? Like the whole kit and caboodle was removed. Um, they took out over 10 pounds of cancer from my body. So like a bowling ball.
Right?
Oh
And
yeah, no,
that's the crazy thing about sarcomas. Like they're giant and they're inside of you, and most people don't know about them.
I, there were no markers in my blood.
Right?
The
They
the
are
the
like they're
ultrasound, the
silent,
transvaginal ultrasound,
deadly.
the
Yeah.
sonohistogram, all of that came back fine or inconclusive.
Mhm.
They actually had to do a DNC to find my cancer.
That's wild.
It is. And before we actually hit record, Casey and I were talking about you know, sharing our stories and how if it impacts even one individual, it helps one person, then it's worth us talking about this. A few years ago, I did have a concern, a cancer concern, and I ended up seeing hema a blood oncologist. Like
Yeah.
her
Hematologist.
specialty was specifically blood. And on the follow-up, she's like, we did blood work, you're fine. And I looked at her, I said, what the fuck does that have to do with it? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, when I was diagnosed with a carcinosarcoma 17 years ago or six, whatever, however number it was, right? There were no markers on my blood. And the look on her face was like she didn't believe me. So if a specialist didn't know that that could be a thing, how many lives could I have potentially saved by making her aware of that? And so like the whole time that I was going through that concern, I was like, this sucks. I can't do cancer again. And then coming to that realization, like if I educated her and she can educate her community, like that was worth that scare to me.
Right. And it's crazy how much we have to advocate for the small little things. It's like we're it this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it. It's like we're medically gaslit all the time. And I don't understand it. They're like, "Are you sure that's what it is?" Like, yeah, I don't think I would share that with you if you're if it's not what I think it is. Like it's like crazily wild to me.
I personally did not have any of that while I was going through my cancer journey, but I hear story after story about it. And the way that I advocate for individuals is I'm like, listen, you have to remind them that you live in your body 24/7 and you understand its nuances. And respectfully, as educated as you are, it is called a medical practice for a reason because you are practicing. You don't know everything,
Hmm.
but I know my body. And that helps some individuals. And one of the things that I created for myself was a binder with all of my lab reports and all of my different appointments. So if you have physical evidence of your I'm serious. It
Yeah.
does change, it changes the narrative when you go into a visit. If you walk in there with a 3-inch binder full of stuff, And you could be like, here are my labs. Here's where we asked for this. Here's where this doctor indicated that this might be a thing. Here's where I was denied the care I required because somebody didn't want to believe me.
Right.
And it is a shame that we are here. Um, Unfortunately for women, that has been a thing. And the more we speak up, the better I hope it gets. But I still hear horror story after horror story.
Yeah, and I'm like, I always say always to the doctor too, like if I'm saying something and they're like, "Well, are you sure?" And I said, is there a minimally invasive test to prove that I'm wrong then? And usually then they like, because you know, you think you're right, so prove me wrong, right? And so that kind of makes them question their narrative and the motives that they're having for this. Because I get it, they don't want to put us through tests that are unnecessary, but you're right, we do live in our bodies 24/7, and as much disconnection as we go through, we still understand what's happening.
Yeah, the insurance companies play a big part in that, and the medical necessity and unnecessary tests that they feel aren't warranted because the evidence isn't there. Um, Believing your patient really should be a top priority. Like, until the patient proves to you that they're not believable, why are we just dismissing the concerns immediately? Like when you hear about somebody that goes in for care and it's dismissed as weight or anxiety or just drink more water, and then a year later they're diagnosed with this invasive cancer. That year could be the life or death marker, right? Like, early diagnosis saves lives. Like, it absolutely does. So why are they not diagnosing us?
I don't It baffles me all the time. Like I work with a lot of colon cancer survivors, and they to get a colon cancer diagnosis for somebody under 40 is like pulling teeth, right? Like because they don't you're too young for that, right? Like there's an age for it all of a sudden. Like
There was, though. There
there
was.
previously was, but colon cancer is a slow growing tumor, so you could have it inside of you for decades before it really causes like what would be considered the symptoms of like blood coming out of you and things like that. But there are things leading up to it, right? It's not like we just start with that.
Yes, but the the medical requirements based on age, genetics, family history, all of that needs to be reevaluated because
Oh, yeah.
younger and younger people are getting cancer. Like, well, we were talking about TikTok before we started the recording as well. And, every third video is this 22-year-old or 24-year-old talking about her breast cancer. Uh, 20 years ago when I was diagnosed, it I was diagnosed young at 38, right? Like,
Right.
and when I was diagnosed, according to the American Cancer Society, it was one in every three people would have some kind of cancer before they die. That number is now one in two. That number's not going the right direction.
No.
Like, it's not. Like, what the WTF? Like, so I don't know how to get the medical society to reevaluate the parameters, but those parameters really need to be reassessed. And young individuals need to be listened to when they're talking about symptoms that could be and and if we're going to be completely honest, whatever the symptom is, it could be a cancer symptom. Like, I hear crazy things. Like, I had this little headache and then it turns into a tumor, or my toe hurts. Like, any symptom that you have really could be an underlying cancer diagnosis. Sorry. Sorry. One second. We're gonna go to circle with okay. Okay. Sorry. I have painters in the house right now.
That's okay.
um Yeah, and the importance of listening to your body,
Hmm.
like our body communicates with us
All the time.
all of the time. You walk into a room, the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and you know that there's something there. And like, and the more you listen to your intuition, which is your body, right? Like that's literally your body, the stronger it talks to you. Like, the symptoms that I had, seriously, I was just a little tired. I was a little tired, and I had a little bit of bloating, and that was it.
That's
10 pounds of cancer, and I was just a little tired.
right.
So had I not listened to that, I mean, there was an episode where I I was I was doing a sewing project and I felt a gushing, and by the time I got into the bathroom I was covered from knee to knee in my jeans in blood, and I hopped in the tub and bled for 45 minutes. And then I took a shower, and then I went to the emergency room and sat there for 6 hours. I should have just went there bloody. They would have seen me faster. But that was like the real kicker to
Yeah.
get me to really start looking into what was going on with my body.
Yeah, that's not normal. That's crazy.
No.
Yeah,
So
my
what were you go
uh
ahead.
no, go for it. Sorry.
What were your symptoms? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so let's at the very beginning I didn't realize all these were symptoms though. Like it's because it's acute, it comes on fast and hard. But there were signs that something was going on in my body. I was diagnosed February 14th. So I have to back up to like late November, December. I started to experience some low back pain. And I thought I had hurt myself exercising or doing something. And I was like, oh, no big deal. I went to a chiropractor several times, fixed it. It worked temporarily, but then it kept coming back. I was like getting blurry vision, but I just again thought, I was like, I'm tired. It's the holidays. Work stressful, attributing it to anything but. And finally, what got me to go to an ENT, not even thinking it would be cancer, was I felt a node on my neck, one singular node. And I was like, oh my God, if I get strep and our year end's coming up, I'm like, I can't miss work, can't miss work. I'm like, I'm going to proactively go to the doctor, get some things to fix this, and then so I don't miss work. Not kidding. So I did the antibiotics, and that's when I stopped the antibiotics. My last dose was on a Monday. My appointment for a follow up was on a Friday, and that's when everything exploded. I started to get really bad nosebleeds, but not like bleeding. It was only when I blew my nose into a tissue
Oh,
and big giant clots of blood would come out.
oh.
Again, didn't think like it was cancer. And then
Why
I
would you?
right? I'm 31. I'm like, you know, what else was happening? Oh, I turned white, pale as a ghost. Like my dad saw me and he was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just a little tired. No big deal." Um, I had bruising everywhere. Like I would touch my hand to a counter and there'd be a giant bruise. I had petechiae, which are clusters of little red dots. I had ocular uh, visions, like fissures inside my eyes. I was a mess for that week, and I never attributed anything to something as serious as cancer.
Right, because cancer is an old people disease, right?
Right. And
Like I
that's all I
in
knew.
our 30s, why would we think it was cancer?
Right. I was like,
Yeah,
this is weird. I think it's anemia.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Talk to me about what kind of support system you had going through, your surviving your
Yeah, so I mean, because it was my journey was so long. It was almost 5 years straight. Like I had 7 weeks of remission, and that was it throughout the 5 year period.
holy
Um,
shit.
yeah, it was quite the cancer that I was diagnosed as is as an adult is a very aggressive cancer. There's no staging um for my blood cancer. And I had my partner, which is my ex-husband, who, I'm not kidding, went above and beyond what you would expect any human being to do. Above and beyond. My dad, uh, my mother-in-law, and then we had friends pitch in because it literally, just to get to and from appointments, you needed like an army of people. Because I was going like 3 times a week to the hospital, and then so I'm gonna pause it, but 4 months into my treatment, I had a stroke. Yeah. So I had to relearn how to walk and talk and do all of these things and use my entire left side because it I was left temporarily paralyzed. And so on top of going through chemotherapy, which they didn't stop while I was going through rehab because they were like, your cancer, we're not in remission. We still have to keep the cancer at bay. So I was in this 8 week period where I was doing going to chemo infusions in the evenings and rehab in the morning for 3 hours, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. It was brutal to get through that. And so literally everyone pitched in to get me to and from because I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I couldn't I couldn't do the basic functions of what humans do.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, there are programs. Like I didn't know that there were volunteer organizations that would take you to appointment. That wasn't expressed to me, right? And that's why I think doing stuff like this is important. There are so many organizations out there that help. Like people will drive you to your appointments. I was driving myself to radiation. I had absolutely no business
No.
operating a vehicle. No business, right? Like fortunately nothing ever came of it, but like I had 5.5 weeks of radiation, and that's
Yeah.
Monday through Friday straight, right? Like
No break.
um no breaks. And that that's hard. That's absolutely hard. I mean, I definitely went into my where I went for my radiation was in hospital, and the first time I showed up for an appointment, I was dressed head to toe in Barbie pink, right? I had an I Dream of Jeannie Bouffant freaking
Amazing.
wig on. I had this cute little satin jumper with little um pink flip-flops with rhinestones on it and a little Hello Kitty pocketbook. I looked ridiculous. I looked absolutely ridiculous. And the nurse behind the counter popped up and she's like, "Oh my God." And she came running around the thing and she's like, "Let me take you back up to the fifth floor." She thought I escaped psych.
No way. No way.
and and I was like, "I'm here for radiation." She was so embarrassed. I'm like, "Please don't be embarrassed." That brought levity, like that sick,
Yes.
dark humor
Yes.
to this horrible day for me, right? And I would come into these appointments every day wearing some ridiculous bright neon wig, and they started betting on what color the wig would be in the off. Oh yeah, right. Like
Fun.
I wanted to bring awareness, right? Like because being bald is not, that was a very difficult part of it for me. Even being empowered and doing a mohawk before and rocking a mohawk for a whole week before I went in for first round of chemo, not having your hair, like people don't quite understand how empowering our hair is, and having zero control over it really. Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna be ridiculous, I'm gonna pull out some of these.
That's amazing. But
So great.
it's the small joys that get us through it, right? Like it is those small little things that we do to feel some sort of dignity and humanness
Yeah,
that literally get us through it.
yeah, I talk a lot about um I have a stuffy. I was given a stuffy on round two of chemo, and he's right here.
Oh,
Okay. He's an ugly doll. They're not in business anymore, but this little stuffy. He's 18 years old, like literally 18 years old, and he's gone through surgeries and like they won't let people into radiation with you, but they will let little stuffed animals. And I don't care how old you are,
No.
you can always have a bear. You can always have a bear as a comfort, right? Like, and when they take you in, they give you a little ring to hold so you stay in one spot. I was like, I'm gonna hold my little stuffy instead. Being human is hard when you're going through a diagnosis like that. And I hear crazy things like some of the stuff people say to people who are actively going through treatment. I,
Yeah.
you got the good cancer? What does that mean? What does that mean? Or you get a free boob job? Like, are you free? Free? Hello. Like, I mean, some of this, and I know that sometimes people just don't know what to say,
And don't say anything, right? Like,
right?
don't say
Or ask me what I want to talk about.
anything.
Maybe ask me how you can support me. But some of the stuff, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like,
Ridiculous.
it's really. I listen to some of these stories and I'm like, they did not. They really did, but they did.
Right?
It's and one of the things that I get asked a lot is like, my friend is, or my husband is, or my loved one is going through cancer. How do I help them? And I'm like, you're asking the wrong person. You need to have a conversation with them because every survivor is going to give you a different thing and they're going to ask different things of different people, right? Like maybe you're the one that makes them smile and they just want to sit and watch movies with you. Maybe you are the one that cooks their favorite meal and they would like you to make them that meal once a week. Like, so just ask them
Right.
and they will tell you how you can support them. And if they don't, just be there. So just sit there. You don't have to talk. Like sometimes when you're going through that, you don't have the energy to talk to somebody, but you want to be in the room with them.
Right. You need
Yeah.
people around you. And also it's like exhausting to have conversations sometimes, and the because my journey was so long, I was like, I ended up just telling my friends, I'm like, just treat me like I'm not going through this. Treat me like you would any other day. Make fun of me, tease me, blah blah blah. Like, like just treat me like as if this wasn't happening, because I want to feel like this isn't
Normal.
happening from time to time.
Yep. Don't worry. I'll tell you if I can't handle it. I'll play the cancer card.
Right. Like I will tell you when it's enough is enough, but like I so wanted to feel normal so much, and because everything that you go through with a cancer diagnosis is not normal. It's so out of co- your comfort zone and out of day-to-day life, and I always say, like, cancer put me in timeout for 5 years. I'm like, 5 years. I lost 5 years. It's wild.
You experienced life in a different way for 5 years.
Yeah.
You didn't lose 5 years because you're still here,
Right.
right? Like, and one of the things that I get to do is do this, right? And it's not I have to. The the perspective can change dramatically for people. I have gratitude, right? Because I'm a completely different person. I'm far less selfish than I was beforehand. I am way more grateful when I wake up and have another day. And it really does change how you think about everything.
Right. And and it shifts almost instantaneously, I feel like. And it might not, but it feels like it shifts very, very, very swiftly.
It does. And if you're currently in the middle of it, a couple of pieces of advice that I have is number one, plan out the after. Visualize, actively visualize where you're going to go, what cruise ship, what yacht, what city, what beverage, what you're going to wear, how the sun is going to feel on your skin, because the more you actively visualize the future, you pull it towards you, right? Like that's something I did not do, right? Like I was in cancer, and I had the little cancer blinders on. It was an appointment, blood work, appointment, this, sleep, sleep, sleep. Like there was always something to do, but there wasn't a an after. And putting that like in your head, planning the vacations, doing that stuff helps in the now, number one. And number two, there are months that I can go by without remembering that I'm a survivor, right? Like I forget that that was a part of my life. And I know that sounds really hard to believe, but it's true. I And if I wasn't doing something like this beautiful podcast, there would be even longer periods of time where I don't remember that because I'm normal, living normal life again, right? And I know that just it sounds so out of pocket and so hard to believe that there will be a future.
Right.
When I was diagnosed, I had not had any children.
Mm.
I was 38. Not that I wanted any, right? But the second they took out my uterus, I was like, wait a minute, excuse me, hello. I didn't use that. Like now I'd like to use that. Not really,
But it's the
but
choice. The choice was taken out of your hands.
yes,
And that's
yes. Like
same
I
thing with
didn't.
me. Like I was 31. I can't have children. My ex-husband and I were at that stage in our life where we were talking about it, but we hadn't decided fully, right? We were kind of like toying with the idea, and 31 is still young, you know. You've
It
time,
is.
you have quote unquote time. Um, but to have the when they told me I couldn't, to have that choice taken away, oh, that felt like a gut punch. And I was like, I do want children? I don't know. Like, what was that feeling that I just got?
It right. It was a thing. And then I literally spent the next 5 years dealing with, well, I don't have a womb. Am I a woman? Like, and then having to reconnect to the divine feminine and really become whole again, mind, body, spirit, even though I don't actually have a womb. Your womb does not define your womanhood. It does not. But that arguably was harder than active treatment.
Yeah, I mean,
Like it,
some of the realizations I was having after treatment ended were so much harder than going through it. And I just shared a quote that I say a lot. The body can endure a lot, like so much more than we think it can. But if your mind is not on board, you've already lost, right? Like your mind has to be there because it's the thing that's going to pull you through.
whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct. Like that is my favorite quote. Um, one of the things that I did every day while I was going through my journey, is I visualized putting on Wonder Woman's underwear because to me Wonder Woman doesn't die, and that is actually why I call it Power Pantaloons, right? Because it's magic underwear, right?
Yeah.
And it was it visualizing and making the active decision daily that I was going to choose to live,
Yeah.
because that's yeah, like
Right. And for anyone going through it, like you had mentioned earlier, like I focused on what I could do that day, right? Like I can't change the fact that I have cancer, but what I can do is get up out of bed every day, shower every day, eat.
most days.
Yeah, I showered every day. I made it a point because I was like, nope, we are going to focus on the goal, and this is what these are the goals that I'm setting aside. I'm getting up, I'm showering, eat the best you can because there were days where that was a struggle. I walked every day, and that was like what kept me grounded. I go, if I can do those things and focus on just those things because I have control over that, I go, I'm going to be okay. I don't know why that just settled in my head, and I was like, okay,
But that was the choice. That was the visualization that you made. And
right.
you know, I there were some days where I literally couldn't even get out of bed and change my underwear.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there were days that were so bad that I couldn't do that. Sleep 20 hours a day. I was like some giant cat, right? Like put me in the corner, give me a pillow and a blankie and I'm fine. Um yeah, yeah. The little things that help you feel normal. Showering,
showering.
brushing your teeth, changing your clothes, just having that comfort food. And yeah, sometimes eating was a thing because it was about eating what you could actually eat and keep down.
Yes.
And sometimes that wasn't healthy or good for you, right? And that's a thing that I want to talk about real quick. Yes, obviously you want to eat things that are nutritious and good for you, but
Yep.
you want to eat, right? Like putting something in your system is better than putting nothing in your system because you do need
Calories.
sustenance.
Yeah.
And especially when you're actively going through treatment and people are always telling you, well, it should be vegetables, it should be fruits, it should be this power smoothie, it should be whatever you can actually put in your stomach.
Right. Like, oh, you want me to drink a smoothie that's like feels like it's like acid down my throat because I have a giant mouse floor down there? Like, that's not possible, right? Like, as much
Right.
as you want to do these things, like some of the side effects won't allow you to. And you do the best you can. And that's what I tell a lot of people. I'm like, obviously we want to make the best decisions we can, but our bodies sometimes don't let us.
Yes. Yes. And the the medications, the chemo and the radiation, they alter your senses.
Oh yeah.
There are still perfumes that I can't smell because I will literally go into the corner and bark. Like, and like there was one perfume that was my absolute favorite, and I was dumb. I didn't believe people when they said that you can't go to your favorites because you won't be able to tolerate them anymore. This is almost 20 years later, and if I smell it, I
Oh
immediately get the
yeah.
and I have a very funny story. So like I was in the hospital, my sister was visiting me, and I had eaten the absolute disgusting, horrible hospital food, right? And there were some cookies on the plate. I was like, if I eat this stuff, I'm allowed to have the cookies. So I bit into the cookie. It was a chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like, this tastes like lick.
Oh.
And it tasted like garlic. And my sister was like, it's a chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like, you eat it. And it was a garlic chocolate chip cookie. I wasn't nuts. Somehow there was an accident in the kitchen or whatever. I'm guessing they made garlic bread and just saw the butter, and I don't know. Like that's the only explanation I could have. But like stuff like that happens, right? Like you you get texture weirdnesses, you get scent weirdnesses, you get so consume what you can consume.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like there were days where all I could do was like soup. That's all I could I think I can keep down today. And that's like it. And you just do what you can. Like yeah, I mean, I remember I went through a phase where the smell of peanut butter will instantaneously like nauseous, like like oh, like almost
Oh,
vomiting. And my ex-husband loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I was upstairs in our house at the time, and downstairs he was making himself a sandwich, and I yelled out, I go, "Are you making a peanut butter sandwich?" He was like, "How are you able to smell that from up there?" He's like, I was like, "I don't know, but get it out the house. Get it out the house."
yeah. Like yeah, it's very interesting. Um one of the they talk about the 5-year mark is the goalpost, right? And something interesting I figured out, right? um After 5 years mosquitoes started biting me again. I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, right. I'm healthy enough to be devoured by mosquitoes again. And it was surreal, right? Like because I didn't think about it and I didn't even realize that they were not bothering me until they started bothering me again. And it like so like there are like three perks that chemo gives you and mosquitoes losing interest is one of those three perks.
I would agree.
Did you lose your hair?
I did. I lost it twice, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to point out that we have hair in other spots. Like
Oh,
I 1,000% did the mohawk, right? And I was like, okay. And then we shaved it, and then I came home from chemo and I took a shower and I was washing myself and I came away with all of my pubic hair in my hand, and then I had a meltdown. Like, so I want you all to know you have more hair.
yeah.
It's not just on your head, and you might want to consider that as like old-fashioned old lady, right? Like I rock it like a hippie. So these are things you need to consider. Like
Yeah. But that I would say that's a perk. I didn't have to shave for like 5 years straight. It was kind of amazing.
I I don't really shave. I mean, I'll shave my underarms every once in a while, but I don't really have any leg hair. But like the the one weekend I came home and I had no eyebrows, and my sister's looking at me. I'm like, I have no eyebrows, but I definitely had beard hair, like random little beard hair, and why? Why do I have to have beard hair? Can't
Right.
that go away? Right? Like, can't we put an order in for which hair we'd like to lose? Like, can we have at least one per?
Hmm.
All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts, Casey?
That if you are struggling with recovery or you're going through a stage 4 diagnosis where this is something that's always going to be in your life, please reach out. I am accepting new clients right now. It is so vital to your health, not just to address the physical things like diet and nutrition, and exercise, which I do, but it's also the things that we don't think about our mindset and our emotional states as well. And you can find
Absolutely.
me on TikTok or Instagram. I'm Casey, Cancer Coach on TikTok, The Happier Hustle on Instagram and Facebook.
I will make sure to put all of her social media links directly in the show notes so that you have access to her. And as always, you can find more information about me at howikickcancersass.com. And I really appreciate your time today. You all have a beautiful time.